Good morning, everyone. I'm Cheryl Carr, your work doctor, and this is the Achieve with Dr. C podcast. I hope everyone's having an awesome first Monday morning. Why did I say first? It's not first. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I see lines on my screen. I'm not going to let it bother me because I'm looking at it. It just looks funny. Anywho, I will keep going. I hope that you're following me on Facebook. If you're not, please go and follow me on Facebook, or you can subscribe. You can do both to my YouTube channel so that you get advanced knowledge when I'm broadcasting, what I'm talking about. And I also do pop-ups and all kinds of other things to help you in this post-traumatic growth, post-pandemic, which we're not post yet. We're still in the throes of a pandemic, but I think we're all experiencing, besides being collectively traumatized. Hey, good morning, sis. Besides being all collectively traumatized, we are all also weary. We're pandemic weary, and our behaviors during this time period of trying to normalize, which things will never be so-called normal ever again. This is the new lifestyle. This is it. It only goes forward from here. I've also said to everyone during this time, you're either in post-traumatic drama or syndrome and stress, or you're in post-traumatic growth. It all comes down to your own mindset. And that's why we've been talking about mindset this month of September, which I can't believe it's almost gone. It came in like a whirlwind. It's almost gone. A couple more weeks, I think. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. This is a pretty meaty subject. It confronts a lot with us. It's an area of psychology and human behavior and performance that I am considered somewhat of an expert in, because this is a part of leadership. And because my organizational psychology background, I really studied organizational change, organizational leadership, organizational knowledge transfer, and organizational skill set development. That's actually my dissertation. But I've studied it for years, starting out with my own self, trying to heal my own work wounds and develop a behavior in the workplace that wasn't steeped in control and wasn't even steeped in charismatic leadership or transactional leadership. I really wanted to learn how to be myself. And I also wanted to learn how to help other people develop a leadership style, first of all, that adhere to their own beliefs, morals, and standards, and not the way of the world. What we see to be successful, it said we have to have this type of mindset. We have to act this kind of way. And I was never able to achieve that. I'm not going to sell my soul for a job. I'm not going to sell my soul and destroy the essence of who I am so I can get ahead. I've also developed an expertise in helping people recognize things that are usually sold. We sell our time, we sell our expertise, and I do. But I started doing this show because I see the need to counteract a lot of the psychological mumbo jumbo out there. I also see the need to provide people a foundation of information that they can then decide where they want to spend their money to learn more. And understanding the psychological control drama and its self-perpetuating game of power play that you have in your own mind, and how you act in the workplace, predominantly control dramas and communication styles, which I talked about last month, are we've entered into a time in the workplace and in our interpersonal relationships where decorum, manners, talking to people a certain way has gone out the window. Now, I have to be very careful because I know these things. When I want to disassemble someone's fakeness, their pretense, I can be a laser beam and I can be very, very unkind. So I have to watch that when I do that. But I attack fakeness, inauthenticity, people trying to play a role to convince me that they're this way when I can see from their behaviors that they're not. So, in saying all of that, I want to give you this information as a foundation. Please hear me when I say this is not diagnosing, this is not giving you medical advice. I am sharing information to help you control your own mindset, control your own lifestyle, control your own even help seeking. So when you walk into a therapist's office, if you decide you need therapy, you understand you have some self-awareness because you've acquired information from listening to me and other experts, which there's not a whole lot out there that I would advise people to listen to. Not churches, not people selling you their methods, their understanding of things. Most of it is bent towards how they think and how they want you to think. Where I differ in that, and I hope you can see that difference, I'm sharing information that is purely psychology, foundational things that you can take and run forward with. I'm not trying to shape your beliefs other than as a Christian, I pray to God you have a relationship with Christ and that you've given your life to Christ and that you are counted among those he calls his own. Please, if you haven't done that and you need to learn how to do that, contact me. I will walk you through the Roman road and tell you how you can capture salvation for yourself because you have to do it. God's pursuing you right now, even in this broadcast. He's pursuing your mindset. He's pursuing you through the words he's giving me to say. And I do want you to have that relationship. So you have good self-possession. You have a righteous mind. You have free will. God has given it to you. You get to think for yourself. And that's all I'm trying to share with you. So when we get to talking about control dramas, I want to start out by telling you we all have it. Okay? Don't beat yourself up. We always, when we're studying psychology, when we're in classes, we see ourselves in everything because nobody is all one way all the time. And we all possess our own shapes, bents, predisposition, personality, and behaviors that typically are formed in childhood. And this is one that is formed in your childhood, in your environment. This is where you learn how to have control drama. Control drama, let me just explain it very simply in layman's terms. It's how you get your energy back when you're in a situation that you are forced to communicate or to be present. Like when you have to deal with something you really don't necessarily want to deal with, this is where your control drama rises up and tries to possess your energy back. And we typically do it in one of two ways. We're either aggressive or we're passive. And I think I shared with you, consciously or unconsciously, psychological control is a strategy our mind implements to function on a day-to-day basis. You're doing this whether or not you listen to me and you accept it. You are doing this. This is you. This is me. We all have control drama, and we're all either aggressive about trying to get our energy back and win or dominate or control a conversation or an environment. Sorry, I'm got a tickle in my throat. Anyway, consciously or unconsciously, well, let me take another drink of water. There we go. Let's talk about control, because control is the power struggle we all live in. I don't care who you are. Right now, in your workplace, right now, in your interpersonal relationships, in your family, in your home, there is always a power struggle for control. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is how humans have to relate, talk, discuss, become, and deal with one another in our own environments. It's the power to influence or direct people's behavior in the course of events. That's what control is. Here's the rub, though. Most of us possess locus of control issues. That's what control drama is. And we've learned to either be passive, where we lay back and we don't speak our minds, or we don't know how to have a debate and a conversation with someone without it turning into an argument or stress and drama. And we don't like hearing truth or criticism. That's when people will become either passive or they become aggressive. My own personal bent is towards aggression. If I feel like someone isn't being forthcoming or truthful, I can laser beam in and implode their behavior. I don't care how much you try to pretend. It's just something I've gotten good at. And recently I had someone say I get my rocks off. I don't. It doesn't make me happy to have to do something I don't like to do so someone can see who they really are. And they can see that I see you. I see who you really are. So that's all control is. And it's an illusion when it comes to controlling other people's behaviors. You can control some in events, but rarely are you able to control someone else's behavior. You can only expose it or deal with it, process it, deal with it. But people possess, like I said, their own righteous mind, their own ability, free will to act, do, and think. How they act, do, and think. No, regardless of what you do, people normally will do what they want. So when people say stuff like, you made me, no, I didn't. I may have created an environment or set up a series of events to have you feel a certain way, but I didn't make you do anything. You can't make an adult do anything. You really can't make children do anything. You can only convince them it's in their best interest to do something. And then they choose to do it or not. Now, let's get back to any conversation. And I'm trying to make sure I stay very, very informational. In a conversation, two things happen. You're either in that conversation and you're experiencing exchange of energy that builds both of you up, makes both of you feel good, has you sharing information, listening to information, speaking information where there is intimacy. And intimacy has different levels. It's not sexual or sensual. Intimacy just means into me you see. That's what good conversation has. But unfortunately, since we've all become social broadcasters and we now have the power to put our emotions and our thoughts and our feelings and what we believe out there in the world for everyone to experience without any repercussions, because we have well, I guess Facebook now is taking stuff down, but we can now express ourselves as violently and as obnoxiously as we desire, because we have the freedom and the access to do that, to offend however we want to. That's what social media has given us the power to do. And in doing that, it has loosened the lid most of us have when we're in public on how we talk to people, how we treat people, and the things we will and will not do. Because we've given people license now to express their opinion, regardless of if anybody wants to hear it. We've done that with social media. And that's why we see the lack of decorum. That's why we see the lack of real, true intimacy and communication. Most people are image managing and putting things out there just to get people to look at what they want them to look. You see very, 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 very few intimate communication. I mean, it's out there. I see it from time to time. I'm trying to create more of that in my own life. That's why I don't deal with fakeness and pretense and image management and representatives of people. Just be yourself. Be who you are. And then let me decide if I want to deal with that or not. And we can decide together. Nope, this isn't going to work. You go your way, I go my way, and I go in peace. I send you off in peace. But what we can't continue to do is this wildly violent way of communicating that's steeped in control drama. And control drama is formed in our childhood. To identify it, you can dig in your family environment, your background, and see, how did you guys communicate? Were things discussed? Or were things undiscussed? Nobody could bring things up. Did you keep secrets? Was everything about how you looked to the outside world, despite what was going on inside the home? That's where you developed your behavior, your mindset of drama control. You're either passive or aggressive. Those are the two main ways we express control drama. We're either very aggressive, which I said I am. That was my family environment. That's the way we grew up. Or you are passive. We couldn't speak, didn't have the opportunity to speak your mind. Nobody cared how you felt, what you thought. So you become very passive. And passive aggressive people are some of the most dangerous when they're feeling control drama. That's the people that can snap. Now, let's talk about the 4 kinds of control drama. That's either active or passive, aggressive or passive, active or passive. Active drama is called, the first one is called the Intimidator. And the passive dramas are the poor me. There's the Interrogator, and then there's aloof. Okay, let's break those down. And I'm going to try and give you really good categories. Passive aggressive. Let's talk about intimidators. Intimidators try to gain energy by forcing people to give their attention to them. And in an aggressive environment and someone who is an intimidator, they can resort to physical and verbal abuse, force, fear, and anything that's aggressive and manipulative in situations to use control or perceived control. That's the intimidator. I fall into that category, especially in situations where I feel like someone is either unsafe or fake. I become a bulldog. I think I said that when I talked about communication styles last month. And I know this about myself. I'm very self-aware. And the only way I move from being an intimidator is if I sense that other person, a light bulb goes off and they realize, can't hide, can't pretend, let me be real. If they want to be argumentative, critical, criticize, hide, throw rocks and hide their hands, and we'll talk about this other one, the poor me psychological control drama. They're the ones that annoy me the most. So you don't want to get into a debate with me like that. I despise having to go there. And it is formed in my childhood of having to be very self-protective. And I'm thinking, if you think about your childhood, you will understand if you became an intimidator, you probably experienced some upheaval and chaos and drama at home that forced you to stand up for yourself or forced you into passive behaviors. So that's the intimidator. Okay. Then we've got the other hand, which is the very passive, and that's the poor me drama control. That's where they're perpetually in victim mode. Poor me. Someone is always trying to hurt me. Someone is always down on me. Being with them, you feel nothing but guilt and blame. When you're with a poor me control drama, and yes, it is a form of manipulation and control. Remember what I said earlier? Nobody is all one way all the time. And no, I'm not talking about legitimately victimized survivors of drama and violence and rape and all of those things that can happen to make someone have a predisposition to a victim mentality. That is not what I'm talking about. That's a whole different broadcast. Okay? I'm talking about a mindset that I can control the power and energy in a conversation or something in my environment with a poor me approach or an intimidator approach. The interrogator is someone who can see flaws and will either choose to exploit them and expose them. And then the poor me is always highlighting whatever makes them feel like a victim. They're the one who says, you make me feel blah, blah, blah. Or why won't you stop criticizing me? Also, people who say, I can't stand drama. None of us like, well, I won't say that. Some people like drama. Most people don't. But when it comes to when you say something like, I can't stand drama, what you're saying to me is, I can't deal with other people's behaviors. I prefer to tell people, oh, I don't like it. I don't prefer certain types of drama, but I also understand human behavior. Nobody's going to be how I want them to be. Nobody's going to talk to me exactly perfect. We're all imperfect people expecting someone else to treat us perfectly. And it ain't going to happen. So learning to deal with drama is a very important life skill. You can't avoid it. It's all in how you respond to it. And here's some of the ways we respond to drama with control dramas. It's an ability to try and feel your power back, get your power back. And poor me is the most annoying for me. A victim, martyr, poor me, woe is me type of behavior is as controlling as the interrogator. It's two ends of the spectrum. It's a passive control behavior. And it's very annoying. Interrogator, I get annoyed. I'm disappointed when I show up as that person because I don't like her. I don't like that Cheryl. But it was learned in my family childhood. It is my fight. We all have them. And then we've got the aloof control drama. They're less passive than the poor me. Aloof people detach. Check out. They can't be affected. They don't hear you. If you say something to them, they'll respond with a statement about themselves that has nothing to do with what you're saying. Also, another personality or behavior or mindset that I have a difficulty dealing with. Because aloof means you have made yourself unavailable for the conversation that needs to be had for intimacy. It's a way of telling someone they are unimportant. And unless you're doing what I want you to do, I'm just not going to deal with you. Now, when I fall into passive behaviors, this is the extreme for the interrogator behavior that I fall into. And I don't like it because, again, it ruins the opportunity for good conversation and for intimacy, to get through issues. And that's all you can do when you're wanting to be loved and loved well. And when you want to love someone else well, you've got to communicate. You've got to get past things and conflict and chaos. Okay? So we've got intimidators, we've got poor me, we've got aloof, and then we've got interrogator. The interrogator's mechanism of gaining energy is to probe into someone's life and find their flaws, and then intimidate them with those flaws. Again, I know you're hearing me and you're going, I do that. We all do. We all experience some form of control drama. It's just a mindset. It's how we were shaped and formed. It's what we learned in our homes, in our environment, in school, and how we formed, how we show up in the world as children. There's nothing wrong with it. It just is in its truth. And I'm giving you information so you can recognize and you can decide how you want to show up in the world. Interrogators criticize. They're snipers. They will lob something over the fence to criticize you, but they are aloof and will not take in criticism about themselves. They don't say, I'm sorry. They don't know how to say thank you. They're unappreciative because the interrogator is all about getting that weakness, getting that jab in. So those are the 4 control dramas. The intimidator, who gets their energy back by forcing people to give them attention. You're going to listen to me. I will be heard. Then you've got the poor me. That's the other extreme on the passive end, where they are victims. They have a victim mentality, perpetually in victim mode. Everybody's out to get them. Everybody talks to them wrong. Every woman is the wrong woman and is not perfect and won't meet your expectations. There's a guy on YouTube that's very popular right now that has, I think he's at 1 million now. He's got a whole following of poor me's. Whew. I listened in because I have a brother or two that told me he's saying some good things. So I listened, and yeah, he has truth to what he's saying in some aspects, but it's always to the extreme. And like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, it's all to shape the mindset, to get people to think how they want them to think. It's not teaching people how to think for themselves. It's giving a tribe of alike thinkers. And most of them, 99.9% of them, are poor me, control drama men. And some women. Thanks, sis. I'm glad. This is good stuff. I pray and fast and think about what I want to say before I get on the air, because I want to give people information that really helps. I want people to help themselves. You have to help seek. And if you recognize yourself, you know your family environment, you know how you grew up. You may recognize yourself as moving through all the different control drama behaviors or mindsets. I think I talked about the poor me, the intimidator, the aloof, and people with control drama act cold, distant, and mysterious, and they're coy. I call them snipers. And I just had one of these in my life that I had to get rid of because I started disassembling that. And when we peeled the core back, I knew that wasn't what I wanted. He knew it wasn't what he wanted. We were able to agree to disagree. You have to be a very strong communicator with me. And if you're not strong, you at least have to be self-aware. You can't be deluded about who you really are. And over 25, your frontal lobe is fully formed. Your changes have to be self-motivated. Nobody can make you do anything. Nobody can make you feel a certain way. You are making your own choices. You're either on autopilot because you have not gained self-awareness and you're just unconsciously incompetent going through life, or you're very self-aware and you're dealing with issues as you can, the best that you know how, or you're assertively dealing with your issues by seeking therapy and acquiring information that can help you grow. That's all I'm trying to give you, is information to help you grow. So we've got the aloof, and then finally we have the interrogator. And this is a person who finds flaws, exposes them, and criticizes. That's all they do. And the person I was just talking about, that was them. They kept score. And it was very obvious they were keeping score. And then defaulting to the aloofness because I intentionally wasn't giving them what they wanted. So that's how you can really tell how someone really is. My dad always told me, when it came to my relationships with men, one of the best things you could do is either tick him off or watch him when he's ticked off, because that's who he really is. Yes, that's who he really is. And I'm the same way. If you hit me the right way, you're going to see who I really am. And I'm a very strong communicator. And I have to have someone who can be strong in the paint with me. Now, one thing about me, though, is my default is very, very sweet. I like to be loved more than I'm right. And I'm so sad most of the time, sis. I know it's right. It's tight, but it's right. Most of the time, to face the world, to face relationships, there's this me I have to be to be protected and take care of myself, that isn't who I really want to be. I would love to be soft, tender, and feminine and laid back, but the world would eat me alive. It would eat you alive. The world is very violent and derogatory towards femininity. It is. It comes for it. And I had to learn showing up as a female, like very feminine and in my feminine energy, which you keep hearing people say, everybody doesn't deserve that part of you. People, women, hear me well. When it comes to your control drama and your psychological, your mindset, protect your femininity. Protect that softness and tenderness. You cannot show up in a gunfight with a hatchet. There's a mindset of know what you're stepping into. The times I have turned this off have been when I have gotten myself into the most dangerous, just self-destroying situations and circumstances in my life. Now that I have this, I can honestly tell you, yes, it repels more than it attracts, but that's what it's for. The right one that will stick to it, they'll get over the wall and they'll get the soft, tender, I don't want to fight. I just want to be loved. They'll get that Cheryl, but not out the gate, not off the rip. Nope. You have to protect that tender, soft part of you. So now that you know about control drama, psychological control dramas, you know how they were formed, you know what to look at to decide what is your predisposition. Now, we're not all one way all the time. So you're going to move in and out of these control dramas when you're trying to get your energy back in a conversation, or when you're dealing with your mindset and how you want to show up in the world. This is how you will show up. These control dramas are how you protect and get your energy back. Everything's an exchange of energy, people. That's not new age, that's biblical. Okay? Everything is an exchange. So, your homework from this broadcast, you've learned about psychological control dramas. You've learned about how they're formed, when they're formed in your childhood, and how you may be either an interrogator, an intimidator, aloof, or poor me. Which is your predisposition? I want you to look at yourself. When you're in conversations, what is your mindset in that conversation? How are you showing up? Passive or assertive? Passive or aggressive? Are you being aloof? Because that's very controlling. When you don't give people the value of paying them any attention. When you're distant and silent, they say good morning to you, you don't utter a word. That's control. That's a control drama. They may think they're fine because I'm not saying anything. This person actually said, I'm not giving you my peace. I'm not coming for your peace, coming for your behavior. If I say good morning and you refuse to answer back a good morning, that's control. You have it in your office. I guarantee you, you have someone in your office or someone on the Zoom, good morning. It's control. It's not just personality. It's behavior too. Yeah, they may not be a morning person. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you choose to be aloof and detached and non-communicative, that's a control drama. It just is. That's how you choose to keep your energy and make people stay outside of yourself. You're not exchanging energy with them. You're not exchanging any intimacy. You're keeping everybody at arm's length. When you are an interrogator, you're looking for flaws and you're exploiting weaknesses to your advantage because it makes you feel powerful to know what someone else is incapable of. Again, we all do this. Decide for yourself. What's your mindset? How are you showing up in conversations? How are you showing up in your interpersonal relationships with people? What is your mindset? Are you sitting there in your mind wanting to keep your energy by being aloof, by being an interrogator? Do you have a poor me victim mentality? When they're talking to you, you're instantly going, oh, poor me, victim, victim, victim. Nobody wants to hear me. Nobody cares about me. Nobody loves me. And I want to distinguish again, I am not talking about real victims or survivors of violence and domestic abuse and rape and anything that you survived. I'm not talking about that behavior. I'm talking about if that's all you do. I'm not talking about people in recovery and you can't get past that mindset because you're still in the throes of dealing with being victimized, with being a survivor of violence or abuse. That's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking about those of you who continue to use that to control other people. And then we have the intimidator, which is my natural disposition. And this is someone who will make you pay attention. They will be heard. They're going to keep talking. They're going to say the right things to get under your skin. They're going to jab, jab, jab. And let me just say this. I know if you can't take a punch from me, you won't take a punch for me. And that's why sometimes I allow my intimidator control drama to stay where she is because she's a good protector. She's a good laser beam. She sees things and she knows when someone's trying to make her believe somebody is some way they really aren't. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it is. That's how I show up. So that's your homework. Who are you? Are you assertive? Or are you passive? Are you aloof? Are you poor me? Are you an interrogator or are you an intimidator? Which control drama is you? Okay, so that's your homework for the week. And next week, we'll be talking about a mindset that allows for you to grow. Yeah. And we'll be talking about emotional creativity because emotional creativity has been shown to be a leading factor for survivors who thrive after trauma and drama. And that's where I'm trying to get to. This is where I have spent the majority of my time from recovering from COVID, which was a fight. You have a good week too, sis. Thank you for being so faithful and joining me and sharing the information. I'm going to put some more information in here. Don't forget your homework this week. It should be fun because you've been in every session. So you got a lot of good information for good self-awareness. And I'd be interested if you want to share. You can share it in my DM, but I'd be interested to know, because we've been friends for so long, I'd be interested to know where your control drama lies. Where are you? But next week, we'll be talking about emotional creativity and talking about how you can move past the status quo to actually, thanks, sis, to where you can actually see your growth. I'm going to give you areas of your life to look at and to monitor, so you have real good self-awareness of where you really are. Because a lot of us are thinking we're doing fine and we're not. Honey, let me tell you, therapists are getting therapy right now. This is very trauma producing, what we're living in. And I'm not making it be so. It is what it is. We're all in these weird work environments where we're in the office, we're not in the office. Somebody has COVID, they send all the kids home. They're back at school with masks. No, they don't have to wear masks. Get the shot, don't get the shot. You know, we're all over the place. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I should say that word. That's not a good word. That's not a good word to use. It's just very volatile. That's a better word. That's more doctoral. Okay. So I hope you'll join me next week. We'll continue our talk about mindset and post traumatic growth. And do your homework. Decide which control drama, psychological control drama is your predisposition, your bent. Where are you the most often? And is that serving you well? Is that who you want to be? If it isn't, make sure you show up next week. We'll be talking about post-traumatic growth, and we'll be talking specifically about how to reshape your mindset to identify if you're growing or not. If you're surviving this by being aloof or detached or, and it's not resilience. I want to tell you that. I'll also share with you guys a workshop that I'm doing online and hop in that you can, it's paid for workshop. I'm doing it mostly for my corporate clients, and my corporate clients are paid attendees. You will have to pay. And I would love if you would come. I'm talking about VUCA, and VUCA is volatile, unstable, chaotic, and ambiguous. That's a acronym that psychology, and especially those in the workplace, that we're using to help leaders develop real empathy, to move beyond pity to empathy, and to help the people that work for them and work with them really thrive and grow, and help their organization to thrive and grow. It can happen. We don't have to give up and say things will never be the same and woe is me and poor me. We can really be better because of the pandemic. We really can. I'm Cheryl Carr, your work doctor. This is Achieve with Dr. C broadcast. Make sure you join me here again next Monday, 10 a.m. if God says the same, CST. I'm CST, Central Standard Time. And we will be continuing this discussion about post-traumatic growth. I hope to see you then. Love, sis. Thank you. Bye. Have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye.